Present.
Councilmember Arias.
Present.
Councilmember Chavez. Councilmember Bredefeld.
Here.
Vice President Maxwell.
Present.
And Council President Esparza.
Present. All right, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes, but there was a separately noticed special meeting for ID 22-338. That is resolution confirming emergency conditions continue to directly impact the ability of legislative bodies for a 30-day approval.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the agenda with the special agenda item included?
So moved.
Not all at once. Who was second? Okay, so we have a motion by Council Vice President Maxwell, second by Councilmember Carbasi. Is there any opposition to approval of the agenda today? All right, fantastic. Before we head into the sort of main event, let's go ahead and take care of that special meeting item. Is there any opposition to, do we need to take public comment on the
Yes.
special agenda? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and open public comments on the special meeting agenda item. City Clerk, will you read that off one more time for the public's benefit?
Certainly, and it should be stapled in the agendas that people picked up out there. Resolution confirming emergency conditions continue to directly impact the ability of legislative bodies to meet safely in person and authorizing remote teleconference meetings of legislative bodies for 30 days pursuant to Brown Act provisions.
Thank you, Clerk. Do we have any public comments on the special meeting agenda item? Clerk, is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to comment? Okay, go ahead and close public comment for the special meeting agenda item. Are any council members opposed to approving the item?
I am. Just one.
We have one no vote, so it passes 6-1. Okay, so what we're going to do, just kind of put out the framework for folks. We're going to begin the meeting with the administration providing an overview. Jennifer is going to give us as much detail as possible, and so the public has lots of questions about the general status, so we should take advantage of this opportunity and just provide as much information as possible to folks. Going into the appeals, when each appeal is called, the applicant will be permitted up to 10 minutes to speak. Council members may also ask questions. We're going to take public comment on all of the appeals at one time. Each speaker will be permitted 2 minutes to comment, and we'll probably cap off around an hour or so, depending on how long that goes. There is no unscheduled communication for a special meeting, so all remarks, public comments must be relevant to the particular appeals that are on the agenda. Each appeal will require a motion by a council member, a second by another council member, and a majority vote to approve the permit that has been appealed. If there's a tie, if there is no action, or if there's obviously a negative vote, that means that the permit is ultimately denied. So those are some of the ground rules and how things would go today. Again, Jennifer, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to you to fill us in before we begin with the actual appeals.
Thank you. Good afternoon. We're going to put up a PowerPoint. It's an overview of the application process. Much of it you will remember probably from last time, but I do have some updates, and also I've included information about the social equity process because 2 of the applications today are social equity applications. So I will get started. So an overview of the standard application process. Application requirements for both standard and social equity were posted on the city's website October 19th, 2021. And you can see the dates here where we had the application orientation meeting over Zoom, which was also available later on the website. And standard applications were due December 4th, 2020 at 4 p.m. The social equity applications had multiple deadlines to submit their materials, and the applications were submitted online to an online application system. The application requirements required 7 different sections of attachments to their application. These 7 topics were detailed in Appendix A of the application procedures, and applicants were required to respond to them. The requirements for the application were the same for the social equity process. And the evaluation process for the standard application process had 4 phases. And the first phase is a determination of eligibility to make sure that the applicant met the requirements of the Fresno Municipal Code to hold a cannabis business permit. Phase 2 is a criteria evaluation and initial ranking, which was a review of the written application materials by a panel of city staff from different departments. Phase 3 was an interview with a panel of city staff and a second ranking. And then we are currently in phase 4, which is the city manager's final determination and issuance of a commercial cannabis business permit. Currently, the applicants have preliminary approval and are working on the next steps toward the final permit approval. The social equity application process evaluation was a little bit different. So there's 5 phases here. The first was a determination to ensure that the applicant met the requirements in the code to be a social equity applicant. Phase 2 was the provision of technical assistance and application review. So the applicants all had access to technical assistance provided by the city at no cost to them, and they were required to submit certain sections of their application materials. Phase 3, applicants were required at a later date to submit information about their proposed location and their proof of capital or their plan for capital. And then phase 4 was the applicant's interview and ranking. For social equity, phase 2 was a pass-fail rather than a score. So as long as they submitted all of the requirements, they moved on to an interview. And in the interview process, rather than a score, social equity applicants were ranked, and that created an eligibility list. And so with the city manager's determination, both the ranking of the applicant as well as the city council district they were proposed to be in, if they were retail, were taken into consideration. And we are currently in phase 5 for social equity, which the applicants that have approval are working toward the next steps for final approval. This is part of the social equity evaluation process, which I actually already explained in the previous slide, so I'm going to skip that. And selection for preliminary approval, the city manager's decision took into consideration the following here, which is the number of social equity applications required for retail, which is 3, and the city manager may approve up to 6. Also considered the highest scoring applications from each city council district. And there's a requirement in the code that all buildings in which a cannabis retail business is located shall be no closer than 800 feet from any property boundary containing another cannabis retail district or business. So that is what we call buffering. If an applicant is too close to another applicant that already has approval. And then on October 27, 2021, 4 retail cannabis permits were appealed by the City Council and rejected, and 4 new approvals were issued on December 17, 2021, and the 3 are here today that were appealed. We did analyze the impact from City Council district redistricting. And so there will be an ordinance amendment coming forth to address that. We did have an impact on 2 cannabis retail locations, 2 that were in District 7. One of them moved to District 3, and one of them moved to District 4. And that's the last slide I have, but I also wanted to give an update on the cannabis businesses that have preliminary approval and their status. So currently we have 1 cannabis CUP for retail that is approved. We have 10 CUP applications that have been filed for cannabis businesses. 4 applications are at the pre-application stage and have filed the requirements for pre-application. And 10 have not submitted any materials for their CUP at this time. And that includes the applications that are here today for the appeal. And that is all the information I have.
Jennifer, can you briefly touch on the timeline, the time limits that are involved, so for the benefit of the audience and the council members?
Yes, applicants were provided notice that they have 12 months from the date of their preliminary approval to submit a complete CUP application. And then for the applicants that have already submitted their CUP, once they have CUP approval, the timeline from that point is kind of up to the applicant, because it's going to depend on their building and how much work they need to do and how long that's going to take. So that's the timeline we're working with.
Thank you, Jennifer. And then if I can just add one closing comment to that presentation. For the moving forward part, I just wanted, between obviously today and the previous appeal hearing, we received lots of feedback from council members. Certainly my predecessor did, about concerns for locations and other issues that were raised. And so it is our intent, regardless of what happens today, we will be pressing reset. We won't be proceeding forward with any more awards until we're able to convene with the Cannabis Subcommittee and talk through some changes to the ordinance in order to respond to some of the concerns that have been raised throughout the process.
City Manager, can you clarify, after these initial awards are done for the license, if the applicants are not successful in receiving a CUP, would the license then expire?
A CUP is required in order to issue the final cannabis permit, so they would not receive a final cannabis business permit. They could not operate, so then that cannabis permit would be open for the city manager to issue an approval.
Great. And how many so far have not received a CUP?
Only one has received approval, but we have 10 that have not submitted materials for an application or a pre-application.
Thank you.
Any other questions by council, just sort of in the general arena of cannabis for Jennifer or the city manager? Okay, all right, thank you, Jennifer, appreciate it. I think we'll go ahead and do, before we again dive into the actual appeals, we'll go ahead and do the public comment portion. Again, to reiterate, we'll be doing 2 minutes per person. And I do have a stack of yellow cards here already that I'll be reading from. If you are in the chamber and wish to speak and have not submitted a yellow card, please feel free to fill one out, hand them off to the clerk here, and they'll get it up to me. Or if you are on Zoom, please feel free to raise your hand, and we will hear from you on Zoom online as well. So without further ado, go ahead and call the first public comment, and that will be Manny Prowlis.
Okay. Hi, my name is Manny Perales. I'm the founder of Yosemite Falls Cafe. We have 4 locations in the Fresno, Clovis area, and we employ about 200 employees and really support a lot of families in the community. And I'm for the 4248 West Ashton. I'm the property owner, and I also have the business there. But we've been there for 16 years, and I believe sometimes restaurants, they run their course. And I think that that location is one of them. And I think a cannabis company coming in will help the area, help the district. I think they're gonna have 24-hour security. It's a big parking lot. It's right off the freeway. It's bad for Yosemite Falls, but I don't think I'll survive there. I've lost so much money over the last 6 to 8 months. And having this cannabis company come into that property and the security that we're gonna bring to that area is gonna get rid of a lot of what we're experiencing right now, graffiti. We have people dumping washers and dryers on our property. It's just struggling for us, and I think it's a good idea to allow that cannabis company to come in. It's good for the district, and it's good for that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Barbara Wilson.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Barbara Wilson. I'm here in support of the ID 22-138 in the Chinatown district. Okay, I believe that the cannabis, you're approving a license for this property owner would deeply and really benefit the area and bring economy back to our area, bring the consumers back to our area, and just help us to rebuild our area by bringing the income. And I just want to see Chinatown rebuilt. This is one big opportunity that you can give us to help us rebuild our neighborhood. You've forgotten us for over 50 years, so now is your opportunity to rebuild a district that was very vibrant. We still have restaurants there and the dedicated consumers that come to us, but they used to be overflowing when the district was really alive. This is an opportunity, like I said, to bring the economy back to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Next up, we have Gil Molina. Again, for our speakers who are in the chamber, when you hear that first beep, that means you're halfway through at 1 minute. The second beep means that the time is up.
Good afternoon. First time addressing the city council. Impressive, but I'm here to advocate on behalf of the cannabis programs that are looking at Fresno to, open up opportunity. I run a nonprofit called the California Association of Agriculture Labor. I have about 100 farm labor contractors, and they provide the workforce for the cannabis industry. More importantly, it creates jobs, opportunity, and I think it's something that the city really needs to look at. I understand there's some issues, but like everything in this country, we develop and grow and create a positive image, and there are no problems, there are only solutions. Thank you.
All right, next up, we have Robert Pena.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to speak on behalf of my nephew, Isaac Fonseca, Beyond Rooted, and he's going to be opening this dispensary here in Fresno, if you allow him to. But I just wanted to give you some background on his character. I think that when I look at all of you are hardworking people and have always done the right thing and taken the high road. Well, that speaks to my nephew's character. My nephew, all his life, he used to get up at 3 in the morning when he was a little boy, roll those newspapers, get up on his bike, and go out and deliver them, rain or shine. That's a boy that's always worked hard. High school, worked after work, part-time jobs. After he graduated high school, he would work 2 jobs just to try to get ahead. He's the kind of person that you would use in this community for a great example. He would open up, sell Christmas trees during the holidays, sell pumpkins. One time I was there when he was selling Christmas trees, and some people that couldn't afford Christmas trees, 3 in a row, he gave away Christmas trees. And I looked at him and I said, "Mijo, you're not making any money." He goes, "Don't worry, Tio." He said, "I'll make money. I'll make enough money. But some people need a hand." Giving away, when he was open up a pumpkin patch, trying to make a little extra money during Halloween season, I'd be there and I'd go kind of help and bring out the pumpkins, and he would do the same thing too. Some families that couldn't afford it, he would give away pumpkins. And I'm like, "Son, are you going to make money or are you here to give it away?" But that's the kind of character that this community can point out and say, you know what, the American dream is still alive here in Fresno, California. And he's a great example. All of you would be able to point to him and say, just look at Isaac Fonseca. When you work hard and follow the rules and always take the high road and do the right thing, you can be successful in Fresno, California. Thank you.
We're going to move over to take a couple of speakers on Zoom who have been waiting for a bit. We'll come back to the chamber. So on Zoom, we have Damian Martin.
You hear me?
Yes, sir. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, City Council, and staff. My name is Damian Martin. I'm the administrative legal counsel for one of the other applicants in District 1. I'm here to speak regarding the appeal of Authentic 559 LLC. To be up front, I don't really want to be here right now. My client doesn't want me to be here right now. But Authentic 559's legal counsel insisted that my client appear, or I appear on behalf of my client, for my client to preserve its legal rights. Unfortunately, my client has a lawsuit or a writ of mandamus in order to preserve its legal rights. And on that note, this being about Authentic 559, the reason I'm here to speak is that Authentic 559 is not and never was a qualified applicant under the Fresno Municipal Code. I sent written correspondence that provides legal citations and exhaustive documentary evidence about why Authentic 559 is not a qualified legal or qualified applicant under the Fresno Municipal Code. I present you a binder that lays out all that legal citations and evidence very exhaustively. You guys can read it. You guys are all smart. There's even an attorney on the council. Just to highlight some things, the co-CEO resigned because he was charged by the Alameda District Attorney's Office and the Department of Insurance for insurance fraud. This resignation resulted in unlawful change in the applicant. An owner, Tony Huang, the head of operations. I call your attention to enclosure 9 of my written correspondence, which shows an administrative action from the city of Pasadena that's just absolutely egregious for violation of commercial cannabis laws. And then the local owner, Matthew Garza, is not on any of the corporate paperwork filed with the state, which lends credence to the idea that he's not actually in control of this applicant. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, next up on Zoom, we have Eric Henkel.
Good afternoon, Council President Esparza, Council Vice President Maxwell, fellow council members. My name is Eric Hinkle, and I'm a union representative for United Commercial Workers, Local 8. I covered the greater Central Valley and currently in service our members at the Modesto location, Stizzy Modesto. It's a retail cannabis shop with nearly 45 members. I am here today to speak to the professionalism of the 2 retail operations covered by the collective bargaining agreement in our local union jurisdiction in the cities of Modesto and Davis, California. The employees at Stizzy Shrine, our union members, receive wages far above the industry standard, accessible health care plans, retirement benefits, holiday pay, vacation, paid time off, etc. One of the most significant areas in the contract is the steward language, allowing our members to gain experience in contract enforcement, empowering our workers' rights. Authentic 559 would be an incredible community partner and employer for the future workforce in Fresno, allowing Authentic 559 to proceed with the retail cannabis licensure process means each new job they create would be a boom to the local economy rather than a drain on the social safety net. We respectfully ask the city to move forward with issuing a retail license to Authentic 559. Thank you for your time.
All right, coming back to the chamber, next speaker is going to be Jason Renovado.
Thank you, council members, for hearing us out. My name is Jason Renovado, and it's more of on a personal level with Isaac Fonseca. We grew up together. He's my cousin, 39 years. We graduated elementary, high school, and middle school together, and, you know, I have a pretty good feeling for this guy, and you couldn't have somebody with more integrity, honor, great values, brought up in a family orientation than this guy, Isaac Fonseca. I wish I had more than 2 minutes because I could go on forever, but besides that, the job that he has been on since after high school, he's been there for 20 years, and all he's done is advance in his role. Everybody that he has behind him are just like him for the values, support, honor, respectability. Just like his uncle was saying, he's done many charitable things where we were giving out items for Christmas, free meals, and it's been something before this whole application that he's applying for. But I would just like to say on a personal level, you couldn't ask for a better, more honorable person, respectable, and I believe you can tell by all the support he has here, and thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Next speaker is going to be Granville Runderson.
I'm here on behalf of the F Street Cannabis thing. I've been doing security for over 20 years. I'm really here for their consulting for their security plan on what they're going to be doing with their spot and area. So I'm really came here on behalf of them and speaking for them when they come up here. I didn't know if I was supposed to have filled out the card or not, so that's why I filled it out. But I'm mainly here just for when they have questions or whatever dealing with their on F Street.
That sounds good, yeah. And each applicant, when we get to theirs, will have 10 minutes for a presentation. And then if there are questions relevant to that particular component, but yeah, that sounds fine. Thank you. Next speaker, we're going to go back to Zoom. We have Marilyn Castro.
Hi, and I'm speaking in regards to Isaac Fonseca, Beyond Rooted. And I just want to say, who better to be granted an opportunity of this magnitude than someone who has grown up in the community, who knows the needs of the community and has interests to bringing life back into that community. Isaac is a hard worker, reliable, passionate of everything he does, and puts his whole being into any endeavor that he has created. He creates opportunities for anyone around him who can also grow with him. And he's, like I said, very passionate, just extremely hard worker. And who better than to know, what's needed in that community than someone who has grown up his whole life in that community. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
All right, next speaker here in the chamber is Fred Martinez.
Good afternoon. My name is Fred Martinez. I live in the neighborhood where Alex Fonseca's dispensary is going in. I live a half a block away down the alley behind the methadone clinic. I've been there for 40 years. I grew up in Chinatown. My grandmother owned Maracas, San Diego Cafe, Pancho Seven Seas, the C. Molina Cafe. I've been a firefighter for 38 years, working out of Station 3, 1, and 4. I don't think nobody knows this district more than me. I've been in every house on inspections. I've been in every house, most of them on EMS calls. I've been an advocate for the neighborhood. When I got there 40 years ago, Mike Briggs and I started a neighborhood watch campaign, and he went on to join the council, left to the assembly. I stayed in the neighborhood. I'm fighting for this neighborhood, and there are no corporations coming in. They're leaving. The only one that came in lately was the Johnny Quick. That surprised me that Alex is in touch with. I've been with him there, and the family members that are here to support them, it's the truth. In the 6 to 8 weeks I've worked with Alex, we've addressed the neighborhood, we've met the business owners. I was a founding member of the Tower Marketing Committee. I owned Club Fred for 15 years in Tower District. I owned the Belmont. I formed the Belmont Entertainment Group. We took over Richards. We had an all-age group there. I've met with the mayor. I've been on many campaigns through council members and mayor people throughout the years. And I am so excited about Alex Fonseca moving to my neighborhood. He asked me to get involved. I listened, I met his family, I canvassed with him. He's for the neighborhood. I gave him a couple projects I'm involved with, the Valley Music Hall of Fame. We had our first inaugural 2021 class. We're based out of the Vista Theater. We had 5 candidates, Audra McDonald, a group of others, Fresno State people. I asked Alex to support us. Without hesitation, he signed the dotted line, gave me a substantial amount of funds for 2022, as well as 10 years down the road. He's also backed my neighborhood Tower District Porch Fest. He's underwriting the program, like that. He's involved, I'm involved with the CMRC Music Medics with Shauna Henry. When COVID gets out, we're taking music into the hospitals through our neighborhood, through our Valley Music Hall of Fame. Alex was there.
Fred, we're over time.
All right, well, I'm just saying, I'm a businessman in the neighborhood. I'm an advocate for the neighborhood. I know the neighborhood better than anybody in this room. I'm behind him, and not only that, I'm buying in and supporting him. So I hope you support him, and you'll see a change in that neighborhood in 6 weeks. I'll invite you to our Belmont marketing. It's going to be April 9th on a Sunday. Show up. Thank you.
All right, next speaker we have is Kehinde Sawazi.
Hello, everybody. I'm speaking on behalf of High Speed Healing. District 3, the cannabis, hopefully a new cannabis business getting up and getting started. And one of the things I'd like to say, since we're speaking about cannabis, no more than about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, this was a non-thinkable business. And the number one inmates in prisons and all of that has been particularly African Americans. So if anybody needs to benefit from the cannabis business, it should be African Americans, particularly because we're in prisons all over the place for just smoking the joint. It's locked people up for 20 years. So I'm very, very supportive of young brothers and sisters, our young people back here, trying to start a business. I love it. I want to see more of our young people doing that. And I ask for your full support for this business and for these young people. As I said, I'd like to see more of our young people get involved in business development. That's what America's about. That's what I'd like to see you all. I know you all will support that. So I want to thank you. One other thing I just want to say, as an 81-year-old guy, I never thought I would ever see this kind of issue at City Hall, and I'm very happy to see it. Thank you.
All right, we're going to go back to Zoom for a few speakers who are waiting. Next on Zoom is Morgan Dozaki.
Hi, my name is Morgan Dozaki. I'm the managing partner of Central Fish Company here in Chinatown, Fresno. I'm calling in to show my support for Renata's high-speed healing. I truly believe that the location that she's in, pretty much at the entry point into Chinatown, and the added benefits it'll bring to security and just awareness of the area would be super beneficial. And I would hope you guys would accept her and accept more cannabis licenses in Chinatown. Thank you.
All right, next up on Zoom, we have Nicole Rice.
So sorry, can you hear me? I had a hard time getting off of mute.
Yes, Nicole, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Council President Esparza, Council Vice President Maxwell, and fellow council members. My name is Nicole Trujillo Rice, and I'm the Political and Legislative Director for the United Food and Commercial Workers, Local 8. We represent roughly 35,000 union members within the retail, grocery, meat packing, food processing, pharmaceutical, wine, and legalized cannabis industries from the Oregon border down to the Grapevine. And we have roughly 1.3 million members throughout California, or throughout the United States and Canada. So we're a part of America that makes safety and reliability a part of every agricultural, processing, and retail transaction. I'm here today to speak on behalf of Authentic 559 and urge this body to move forward with their retail permit. And you know, it's unfortunate that we're here under these circumstances, but I am truly honored to speak before this body about this company and the compassion and care that they show for the communities they operate in, and more importantly, for their employees. Shrine, which is Authentic 559, they just ratified the first of its kind master agreement that would cover over 1,200 workers in Northern and Southern California. Shrine's labor agreement includes a number of key worker provisions and benefits, including local starting hourly wages of $18.50 with a minimum of 50-cent raises every 6 months until the end of the contract in 2024. There's also a $3 additional hourly wage for leads, $2 for workers undergoing trimming, and 50 cents additionally for receptionists. As part of their contract, full-time employees are guaranteed 40 hours a week, and part-time employees are guaranteed at least 30 hours a week. This is a key factor in qualifying for health and welfare benefits. After 1 year of operating under the contract, at least 40% of the workers there must be full-time. So I give you these highlights, and they're just a few highlights, but I point this out because this is what high road jobs look like. These are jobs that workers are proud to have, jobs that offer career pathways through our joint labor management apprenticeship. And I personally have worked and interacted with hundreds of cannabis operators throughout California. And I can tell you that Shrine, Authentic 559, is amongst the gold standard for regulatory compliance and worker empowerment. I really thank you all for your time, and again, respectfully ask this body to move forward with issuing Authentic 559 a cannabis retail license. Thank you so much.
Okay, coming back to the chamber, we have a card, Waxy the Duke. I'm not sure if that's your government name or not, but come on down.
Good evening, Council. Afternoon. Appreciate you all. God bless you all. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been in this industry for a hot minute. I'm more of a CBD brand, more of a medicinal company. And because, you know, I was sick and I just started to start something that I wanted to and put back something back into the community. And basically, I'm in support here of high-speed healing. Not only as a cannabis company, also branching out into donations, sponsorship, things that we can do for the city, also for the council. You know, we're out in restaurants and we see different people and we recognize who certain people are, and not everybody is against this, but not everyone can say they're for it. So I'm just here basically just to put some things at ease and just say I'm in full support of high-speed healing. And we will be very appreciative of anything that you guys would allow us or him to do. God bless you all. Thank you for your time. You guys have an amazing day.
All right, next speaker is going to be Roman Gonzalez.
Hi, good afternoon, council members. My name is Roman Gonzalez. I am a business owner in the Central Valley, and I am here in support of Isaac. I feel it's time for us to get these dispensaries opened. We have other cities around us locally that are benefiting from these tax dollars. I would pledge for us to get together and make a decision to grant Isaac his permit to move forward, to conduct business in the Central Valley, of course. And let's start making these tax dollars count for us moving forward. It will help every single good, positive organization here in the Central Valley. There's countless numbers. We are minorities. We have an opportunity to also join this green rush, as it is called, move forward and push for this permit to be issued out, the building for this permit to be issued out, the doors to open. Let's bring this tax dollars back to the city of Fresno, and let's push for this to move as fast as possible. That's what I'm asking for today. Thank you for your time.
All right, next speaker here in the chamber, we have Tyrone Carter. Tyrone.
How you doing today? I'm a presenter, so I didn't know I had to put in that paper when it was presented in.
Are you the applicant?
Yes.
City Attorney, should we defer to, or do they have the right to speak for 2 minutes, or should we defer to their 10 minutes later on?
If the applicant, I would say they should speak at their 10-minute time period.
Okay, yeah, we'll reserve your time for that moment. Going back over to Zoom, Lori Rodriguez.
Hello. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, Lori, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I just want to speak on behalf of Beyond Rooted. Many have spoken regarding Isaac's character, and that is flawless. As you can see, he's given to the community with no problem. But I think that what really needs to be discussed is not only is Beyond Rooted going to bring businesses to the area, but also that area where the building is going to be and security is mandated, we need the security. The gentleman that spoke earlier that has lived there his whole life, he brought that up, the security, the business, the giving back to the community. When you have someone in a local business who has grown up in the area, this is only going to enhance the area where it has been abandoned for years. I know many people will not go down that area at night because of the danger, but maybe with putting something local in where we're offering the security and offering jobs, we can rebuild an area that has been abandoned. So I am asking that you give Beyond Rooted Isaac Fonseca the opportunity to build the area and create it to what it used to be. Thank you.
All right, so next on Zoom, we have Daniel Brannick.
Hey there, can you all hear me?
Yes, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Council. Today, I'll try to keep it short. My name is Daniel Brannick. As full disclosure, I sit on the City of Fresno's District 1 Plan Implementation Review Committee, and I've reviewed a couple of cannabis applications that have already come through after being approved through the city's cannabis licensing process. But I'm, appearing today just by myself. And the particular application that I am concerned about, and it seemed to maybe have already been raised, is the West Ashland location. Ashland 99, I went to Central High. My family still lives out there. I'm out there on a regular basis, although I'm a resident of Tower, so it's an area where I'm sensitive to any kind of development, activity whatsoever. So that includes cannabis. I had definitely seen articles in the SJV Sun and a publication called Ganjapreneur that talked about some of the issues going on with the Shrine Group. It sounds like there's representatives from on behalf of Authentic 559 here that are presenting information about stuff, which I definitely think that they need the chance to disclose it. I don't know to what extent that's already been addressed, or if that's something that's going to be sorted out here today, one way or the other. But I just wanted to call that out, and I'm hopeful that the city so far. I just say that I think the process as it's gone on, the applicants that we've seen once they get their licenses approved have been really forthcoming and willing to work well with the community. So I just want to make sure that process stays on a good track, just making sure that there's integrity in how the city licenses, any cannabis, retail or distribution side, operators. And yeah, that's all I have. Thank you for holding the meeting and making the community aware of it.
Next speaker we have in the chamber is Derrick Mcelroy. And again, if there are any other speakers who'd like to speak in the chamber, please fill out a yellow card, give it to our city clerk, or if you're on Zoom, feel free to raise your hand.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me here. I want to reverberate something I heard Conde Suaze say. This is the very first time I'd ever thought I'd be standing in front of this council talking about marijuana. This town has seen a lot of methadone clinics. We've had a lot of trouble with Black communities being able to make money. A lot of businesses will come into the West Side, open up businesses only, directly giving money back to them and not to us. And Fresno's a small town. If you think about Denver, Colorado, which has made over $1 billion on the cannabis industry. And we're not just talking about weed, we're talking about hemp, we're talking about healing people, and a lot of things that I think Fresno is super behind in. I'm here representing high-speed healing in District 3, and this is one of those things where growing up in this town, being a musician, I worked for Fulton 55, I worked for Rewind 105.5 radio station for 5 years. The thing that I noticed in Fresno is the opportunities we have for us young people and the Black community and just entrepreneurs. When we try to bring something up that's positive and the rest of the world's doing it, Fresno is always saying no to it. And this is our opportunity to speak up. I've never been in front of you guys before. And this is one of those moments where I feel like being from Fresno, traveling the world, I stay in Fresno and live in Fresno because I live in the city. And my small business, an art studio in Tower District, I'm surrounded by homeless, I'm surrounded by methadone clinics, and I always think like, man, if we had more up businesses around this area, which is cannabis, which is making a lot of money, instead of businesses that are giving back to aiding the troubles we have in the city, we'd be better. And I'm hoping that this meeting that we're having, you guys will push forward for high-speed healing. Tyrone Carter, who I grew up with and I've known him my whole life, upstanding citizen, great guy, probably one of the only people I could trust in this city to always have my back. I'm hoping you guys are really listening and thinking about the fact that this is the small moments we have here in Fresno that we could actually say, yo, we went ahead with something we believe in that the rest of the world is doing, and we're not just still sitting back in the 50s when we're in the 2000s. So I appreciate you guys listening to me, and hopefully you guys move forward with high-speed healing.
All right, I am all out of yellow cards. I don't see anyone else punched up on Zoom. Going once, going twice for any last public speakers. We have a taker on Zoom, Fuji Robeski. You have 2 minutes. Are you with us? Let's move on to the next speaker for now. Luis on Zoom.
Okay, good afternoon, council members and guests. Here on behalf of Isaac. I'm in support. I live in the tower. I've been in the tower for 40 years. I support industry coming in. My understanding is that one of the issues is the security, but I know that there are other stores with millions of dollars of inventory, such as jewelry stores. Even grocery stores have pharmacies with a lot of money, and so they secure those stores even though they don't have security. But I really believe that with the security they are willing to provide, it's going to be a very successful venture, not only for those involved, but also for the city of Fresno. It's time to get the cannabis out of the dark ages and out of having to buy it from someone that we don't know, we don't trust. Let's put it out there. Let's make it safe for our citizens. Thank you very much.
Okay. So seeing no more speakers on Zoom or in the chamber, that will conclude public comments for the 3 appeal items. We'll now go in order per the agenda. First hearing is going to be, again, consideration of an appeal of the city manager's decision to approve retail commercial cannabis permit number C-20-3 for the property located at 4248 West Ashland Avenue, and that property is located in Council District number 1. So I think the order we'll go in is to allow the applicant to provide a presentation up to 10 minutes, and then if council members have questions, we can begin with the cross-examination.
I think there's a presentation. Okay, excellent.
How do we, here, I'm gonna get you the clicker. You guys are all gonna speak, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just give me a minute to do the. City Clerk, have you been provided this presentation? All
right. Hello, everyone. Are we ready?
We have it? Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Council. Oh. Okay. Got it. Hello, everyone. My name is John Avador. I'm the CEO of Shrine Group and the co-CEO of Authentic 559. We're super grateful to be here today for the opportunity to present to you and really use this time to remind you what our application is all about, what our company's about, and how we got to this point. We really are grateful to have been ranked super highly in the process, and would like to introduce you to some of my teammates to tell you about various aspects of our business. First off, I want to tell you a little bit about Shrine Group. So we're a vertically integrated cannabis company. We're the top retailer in the state. We've got 20 retail stores open today, another 20 that are on the way, either in pre-construction or current construction phase. We are very successful at retail. We've worked super hard to hone in on policies and procedures that have allowed us to maximize revenue per store. We do 6 times, about 20 million per store on average on an annual basis in revenues, and that's 6 times the average of the state, which is really good for the city of Fresno because that means more revenue from a tax perspective, more jobs, more economic activity. And we think it's great that, that we've made it this far in the process, and want to encourage you to keep moving forward with us. Our top company, Shrine Group, generated over $400 million in sales last year, and that equated to over $60 million of tax revenue for the state of California and for the local jurisdictions in which we operate. So we are a contributory member to the communities in which we operate, both from a tax perspective and a community engagement perspective. And my colleagues are going to tell you a little bit about more on that in a little bit. But we're essentially here to tell you why we think we're such great operators and what we can do with the city of Fresno. Because we're vertically integrated, it allows us to charge a lower price at retail, which allows us to do more volume, which takes a lot of the steam out of the black market. And that has allowed us to do more per store revenue and also reduce crime in the cities in which we operate. So I'm going to turn it over to Tak Sato, our president, to talk a little bit more about the project. Thanks.
Thank you, John. My name's Tak Sato. I'm the president of the Shrine Group. I want to talk a little bit about the location today. I want to first point out that this would be the only store west of the 99 highway, which I know that from speaking to some of the residents feel that that area has been a little bit neglected. This location is wonderful because, first of all, it's only 400 feet away from the 99 highway exit, meaning that it'll be very accessible from residents of Madera, Selma, Visalia, Merced, and all the other cities on the 99 highway. The other wonderful thing about this location is that it's tucked away from other businesses and residents, meaning that we're not going to have a negative effect on the surrounding community. In fact, as our landlord Manny mentioned, this area has been hit hard by homelessness, vandalism, and a lack of business. And we believe with our state-of-the-art facility, increase in security, and increase in customer traffic, we can really revitalize the area. So that's the rendering of our store. It's going to look like a brand new store. It's not going to have any cannabis signs, so we don't attract youth. And it'll be a 7,800 square foot building, which will be one of the largest cannabis stores in the Central Valley. It'll also have 94 dedicated parking spots to accommodate the high customer volume we expect from the fact that we are on the 99 highway. And the key is the 94 parking spots. I know that Councilmember Soria has mentioned in the past meetings about nuisances in parking and effects on the residents. And the 94 parking spots will help us ensure that we don't have a parking nuisance or a traffic nuisance in this area. I'm going to turn it over to Raquel, who is our board member.
Hello, my name is Raquel Orihel. I am one of 3 board members for the Shrine Group, and I also oversee HR. As mentioned,
can you speak into the mic, please?
It's a short thing, sorry. Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. My name is Raquel Orihel. I am a board member, one of 3 for the Shrine Group. I do oversee HR, as mentioned earlier by UFCW. We have entered into a global agreement with UFCW. Oh, excuse me, I'm a little nervous. And I'm really proud to say that we are one of few cannabis companies to offer an employer-funded pension plan. Thank you.
Good afternoon, City Council and City of Fresno. My name is Frank Sanchez, and I'm currently the Director of Community Engagement and Corporate Social Responsibility with the Shrine Group. I was first introduced with the Shrine Group as a social equity candidate in the city of LA. I'm proud to report that the Shrine Group is currently sponsoring or incubating 10 social equity businesses, including one of my own. The company is currently paying for a lease of a social equity manufacturer in Oakland. They've built 4 social equity stores in San Francisco. Further, they have 5 social equity stores opening in Los Angeles. They've offered several jobs to people they've met through social equity events as they best fit within the company. Social equity brands are currently carried in all of our stores, and this would give an opportunity for any social equity brand in Fresno to be carried at our store as well. To date, we've hosted informational sessions for social equity applicants within Fresno through our social equity partner, Kearney Mayfield. Further, we've seen the value in helping lead expungement clinics in every community we've been into. We see the effect that the war on drugs has caused to the community, and we look forward to doing the same in District 1. We're regular contributors to the Last Prisoner Project, an organization committed to freeing prisoners and who are currently locked up with cannabis offenses. Lastly, we know that diversity is very important to the community. The Shrine Group is currently a minority-owned business, and 72% of the employees refer to themselves as a race other than white. Lastly, we're fortunate to have partnered with Matt Garza, who brings diversity to ownership within the cannabis community. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Fresno, the council members and City of Fresno. Just want to do my part. As you can see, I've done my part in multiple places. To list a lot of my philanthropic group give back is, this past 2 winters, my group and my family, we've donated over 500 food boxes throughout the city of Fresno. For the last 7 years, my wife and I have been hosting Casa Fresno Madera County at our home and been hosting an annual fundraiser that pays for a majority of their operations yearly. We've also donated money and time to the Valley Children's Hospital. Man, I do a lot of my stuff to my church, St. Jude's Catholic Church. I've worked with plenty of schools on my free time, whether coaching or donating memorabilia or anything I can to help certain programs like Edison High, Sanger High, Kingsburg High, Washington Union High, Minarets High. I'm currently a volunteer assistant at Fresno City College with Coach Ron Scott. I help with the pitching staff. And on top of that, I've coached numerous little leagues, numerous soccer teams, held numerous camps throughout the city of Fresno, as I am authentic 559. I'm from here. I was born and raised here. I went to school here. I went through Manchester Gate Elementary, here in Fresno, Peach Shields in Dakota, Fresno State alumnus, and so forth. Now, to move on with our Fresno community benefits, in addition to the many causes that we have been a part of and continue to be a part of, we look forward to donating $50,000 annually to the Fresno Community Reinvestment Fund to help assist local equity groups. We will also sponsor 3 scholarships for Fresno residents who live in zip codes 93722 and 93705 to attend Fresno City College. I will be on an advisory board with Clint Olivier, and we as a group will donate 3% of our profits to this board and to distribute throughout the community as overseen by myself and Clint Olivier. The reason I partnered with Shrine Group is the history of what they've done in the community and how they've helped the communities they've been in. And that's what I do. I'd love to give back. I love to help out as a guy who is a child of 2 farm laborers when they were kids. My father served 35 years in the U.S. military. My mother did 25 years as a child support officer for the county and city of Fresno. And I was a first-generation college student. I am trying to be a first-generation business owner, an entrepreneur in our city and continue my and our group's hard work in giving back to this community. Thank you for your time.
I want to close off our presentation by mentioning that the company that would most benefit if we are disqualified here today is Catalyst. I've never actually spoken about another company in front of a city council, but I'm making an exception here today because for the last 3 months, they have tarnished our reputation by filing thousands of flyers within Fresno, planting stories with the San Joaquin Valley Sun. And so just a little bit about them. They admitted in a recent city council hearing in Redondo Beach that they filed 8 lawsuits against cities in order to try to get licenses from them. After that hearing, they filed their 9th lawsuit against the city of Fresno, as the general counsel just admitted. In addition to their lawsuits against cities, their MO is to intimidate and harass and personally attack city council members. These are 2 recent flyers that Catalyst sent out in Long Beach and Redondo Beach against city council members who question their intimidation tactics. I can promise you that if we have the honor of doing business in District 1, our relationship with the city will be one of collaboration and transparency, and not of intimidation and harassment. Thank you.
All right on time. Councilmember Soria, this is your district. I'll let you kick it off.
Thank you, Council President. I just have a couple questions for the group. Thank you for that presentation. I did have a chance to read through your guys' application, as I've done with other applicants. So the reason, just kind of routine what I did last time, the reason that I wanted to, or that I appealed all those that were awarded licenses in District 1 was to give the public ample time to get input, to hear from them directly. And so that's what we've done. My council office has been very consistent in allowing for additional public input. My office went to the extent to flyering the community in the neighborhood within a certain mile radius of the proposed location to ensure that we got proper feedback from the community. I will say that from that outreach that we personally did, we didn't receive really any opposition to the application, or the proposed licensing, which is obviously a good thing for you guys. But I did have a couple questions as it relates to some of the community benefit agreement and your guys' commitment to the community, and especially to west of the 99. So I appreciate all the information you guys have shared. Good, that you guys have partnered with UFCW and what they do. I believe in making sure that, jobs do pay a livable wage, especially here in the city of Fresno, where we are continuously struggling with issues of poverty in our community. So I'm hopeful and grateful that you guys are going to provide, these good paying jobs. But wanted to go a little bit deeper into some of the work that you guys have said that you guys are going to do. I don't know who can answer some of the things. So one, maybe more extensively on your guys' partnership with Fresno City College, right? You guys have said you guys are going to be providing 3 scholarships. Are these for just for folks that want to get into the industry in terms of social equity, or is it just, I'm trying to understand what you guys, the intent and the goal of what you guys are doing there.
Sure. No, the intent and goal is to provide 3 scholarships to citizens of District 1, specifically targeted towards individuals that don't have the means to attend college. Whether they're interested in cannabis or not, that is irrelevant to us. If they are, in fact, interested in cannabis, then as we have done at our Los Angeles facility, we are able to provide apprenticeships and paid internships for people that do want to get into the industry, but in no way is it a disqualifier.
Okay, so this is just to pay for their college education at
Correct.
Fresno City College. Okay, perfect. You guys also mentioned your commitment to fund, I think, minimum $20,000 a year for the annual, what does it say here? The foundation annually. Is that as a whole company, or are we talking about here in Fresno?
No, I'm talking about only here in District 1. We are committed to a minimum of 3% profits, a minimum of, I think it was $30,000. And we are going to use that to specifically improve the conditions in District 1, such as infrastructure in Lions Park, towards cleaning up graffiti, and any other causes that Matt Garza, Clint Olivier, and us as a company, in collaboration with you, City Council Member Soria, determined is the most necessary.
Okay, and then also, I know that from at least what I've read, that you guys seem to be committed to helping this effort to assist social equity applicants. And one of the things that you guys provided with some little detail is providing shelf space for Fresno social equity manufacturers. What does that mean? What does it look like in your other sites?
Sure. So as of right now, at all of our stores, we carry, I think, 6 social equity branded products. So these are people that, for example, in Oakland or Los Angeles, qualified for a social equity license because they were under a certain salary threshold. And so they have a social equity license as a manufacturer or cultivator. And we, as of now, carry 6 products at all of our stores from these social equity license holders. And we are committed to doing that here in Fresno as well.
Okay, perfect. And then on the security piece, because I know that in past folks have brought up issues with, making sure that the neighborhood is safe and obviously the business doesn't cause any safety issues. Can you speak to that? I know that you guys provided some detail of what you plan to do for security in that area to make sure your building is secure. Can you speak to that, please?
Sure. So we go above and beyond the city and state requirements by having 2 security guards on site during operational hours. That second security guard allows him to conduct perimeter walks to make sure there's no illegal activity or loitering around the neighborhood. And in addition to that, we go above and beyond and actually have 1 security guard staying overnight to make sure that there's no illegal activity or break-ins that may happen during non-operational hours. And we are proud to say that despite having 20 retail stores open, also 1 in downtown, which experienced a lot of looting a year ago during sort of the during the social unrest. We were one of the few companies in downtown LA to not have a single break-in, and our 19 other stores have also not had a single break-in, primarily due to the fact that we do have a very robust security system consisting of 2 security guards on site and up to 40 to 50 cameras that blanket the entire facility.
Okay, perfect. And then you guys talked about the location, so it's right next to a vacant motel or an inn. Do you guys anticipate any issues with that? I know obviously having the security may be helpful, but I know that the owner expressed, Manny expressed, issues with illegal dumping and those sort of things. Do you guys, have you guys communicated with the neighbor to see, what they're doing with that property? Or
Yeah, so sure. We actually have spoken to the 7-Eleven owner, which is right next door, and they did also express the same issue, concern about the same issues of dumping and homelessness there. And so the first step we took was actually try to find out who the abandoned owner is of that property. We have not been able to get in touch with the actual owner. But once we do, we would like to work together with them to clean up the area, make sure that there's no homeless people that are illegally living in those areas. In addition, I think the difference between us and the issues that Manny is experiencing is that, as I mentioned, we will have security guards on site 24 hours a day, and we are confident that with the 24-hour security that we will be able to prevent the issues that he has mentioned.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, and I know that that's a big issue in that neighborhood. Unfortunately, we've seen our homelessness issue just impact our entire city, and where before it was just a downtown problem. Now it's become an issue everywhere throughout the city, but I know that that area is experiencing more and more homelessness and, other type of unwanted activity in that area. But, okay, thank you for that. The other question that I did have, I know that you kind of alluded to it at the end of your presentation, but just to clarify for the record in terms of the application being still in a qualified stage, City Attorney, can you maybe speak to that point?
Speaking to what exactly now, Councilman?
The qualification of the application of the applicant, even though a former owner was
Yes.
no longer.
Yes. Between the city manager's office and our office, we have concluded that if one of the owners merely leaves the company, that is not considered a change in ownership.
Okay, so they continue to be a qualified applicant for purposes of our process? Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, then the last question that I had, so you guys saw from the presentation given by Jennifer, we've already obviously granted some preliminary licenses, but only one has submitted for a CUP. Obviously, companies have up to a year to apply for a CUP. What is your timeline in getting this? Everyone keeps talking about, oh, we need to get this done, but no one has really, one out of all the other ones that we've awarded has actually started the CUP process, and we know that the CUP process is pretty extensive. So what's your time frame for filing a CUP, assuming that that you are granted the preliminary license today?
So we have architects ready to go to come visit the site as early as next week. And after speaking with the architects, they told me that they can get an entire CUP package ready in about 2 weeks. And so I believe that if we are granted preliminary approval here today, that we would be able to submit a CUP package within the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay. Well, that's refreshing to hear because, like I said, it's, I think, frustrating. Everyone's here in the audience and, other folks saying, we need to do this. We're grateful that the city of Fresno is moving forward, but, it's been months since we've done some preliminary awards, and only one company has actually gotten the ball rolling. So, okay, perfect. Appreciate that. Thank you for answering my questions. I don't have any other questions. Just like to hear from my other colleagues. City Manager?
Can I just clarify? One has been approved, 10 others have submitted.
Okay, they have submitted.
10 have submitted, one has been approved.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any questions or comments from my colleagues? I don't see anybody punched up right now.
Council President, sorry to interrupt, Council President.
Where are you at? Who's talking to me? Oh, here we are.
Hi. We have Mike Carbasi, who is punched up online.
Okay, Councilmember Carbasi, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. So everyone knows how I feel generally about this subject, but I want to be consistent. If a council member supports this or doesn't support it for their district, I want to respect that because the council member knows the district the best. This is the second time we've had appeal hearings, and I just want to state for the record, it's really nice to hear these organizations are willing to donate to the community, but we are not actually allowed to use that in consideration of our decision. I'm not comfortable with a government telling a private company, oh, be generous like this or that. I think it's great they're doing that, but I don't want a culture where applicants feel like they're under pressure to donate to certain groups or do certain things in order to get approved. There are laws that protect them and protect us at the same time. So anyways, that's all I want to say on that, and I look forward to whatever the motion is by the council member. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any motion on this matter, on this item?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I'll second your motion, Councilmember Soria. Any further comment or discussion on the matter? We did public comment already. No, we can't. We need to do a roll call because we have one member on Zoom. So Clerk, roll call, please.
Sorry, Nelson.
No worries.
Councilmember Soria.
Yes.
Councilmember Carbasi.
Aye.
Councilmember Arias.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Yes.
Councilmember Bredefeld.
Yes.
Vice President Maxwell.
Aye.
Council President Esparza.
Aye. So we have a 7-0, motion passes. Congratulations.
And Council President? Council President, I just wanted to clarify for the record in terms of even just my question about the community benefit portion. If we all recall, that was actually part of the application process, and every awardee, Jennifer, correct me if I'm wrong, is evaluated by that, and so the community benefit to the city of Fresno is actually part of the scoring criteria, right? So it's nothing that we, personally that we've asked them to do in terms of each council. It was part of the application process, and that's why I wanted to make sure that the group flushed it out so that the public knew what they were doing in terms of the community benefit portion. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to hearing number 2, consideration of an appeal of the city manager's decision to approve retail commercial cannabis permit number CSE-20-68 for the property located at 1142 F Street, and that is going to be in District 3. So the applicants come on down, and you will be provided your 10 minutes to make your presentation to the council.
Good afternoon, Council. Thank you for your time. I appreciate your position with this appeal process. It provides us with, as applicants, an opportunity to display the high level of operations we bring to this industry and to this city. We understand the amount of pressure you are under and review this process, and your time is valued. Let's go back there. Okay. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Renata Carter Ford, and this is my brother, Tyrone Carter. We were born and raised here in Fresno. Our father is a retired general contractor, owning a company for over 40 years. Our mother was a special education teacher in Southwest Fresno. Growing up in Fresno, we became highly aware of the needs of our community and have been active supporters of the community's expansion. Collectively, we have 20-plus years of cannabis industry experience, combined with high-level executive and legal background. Together, we have thrived as active members of our community. My educational background, I graduated from Fresno State, Clerk School of Business, with a bachelor's degree in business law, as well as business management. I'm also a licensed insurance agent. My professional background, I've owned and operated RCF Investments, LLC, for over 30 years, licensed insurance agent, formerly U.S. District Court, and Thomas Voyage Law Offices. My passions include conducting annual toy drives and fundraisers for autism spectrum disorder children, annual donations and backpacks of kids in Southwest Fresno, and other annual donations and community events.
Hi, Council. My name is Tyrone Carter. I am the co-owner of High Speed Helen Cannabis Dispensary. Some of the experiences I have in the cannabis field consist of managing Conquest Cannabis Co-op, where I oversaw day-to-day operations, such as planting and harvesting, supervised 8 farmlands, and employed employees within each area. I also did bud tending, tracked sales, and kept counter inventory. Also worked with Let's Grow LLC and Let's Grow Salinas, just to touch on a few bases.
Our local hiring plan is in addition to allocating financial community contributions, another key focus of local entrepreneurs is staying dedicated to the needs and expansion within our community. Coming out of the pandemic, we know that unemployment has taken its toll on our community members, local businesses, and families. We have established roughly 10 full and part-time flexible positions that will provide our community with up-and-coming industry job training, opportunities for career advancement from well within, and local residents' job placement priority. Our goal is to establish our community to grow together. Expungement clinics. Supporting the growth of our community includes providing opportunities for team members who have previously been disqualified applicants in other industries. Therefore, we have partnered with various local attorneys to develop a successful expungement and staffing program. Our goal is to offer ongoing expungement workshops to continue to assist potential team members and community members with industry-related felony expungement opportunities. When Tyrone and I discussed the opportunity for a new business in the up-and-coming cannabis industry, we felt that our location was a prime location to do this. The property is family-owned, right in the heart of Chinatown, Fresno, at 1142 F Street. This property is home to several other businesses, such as a bus station, car wash, and a tire shop. This property is also 100% family-owned, operated, and funded. In regards to parking, we will provide safe and secure parking. We have private, gated parking for team members as well as clients. As we look towards the future of Fresno and our district community, we have such an amazing opportunity to support the growth and development of the Chinatown area. With so many commercial developments coming in and heightening the value and driving economic increase, we truly are in the right place to continue to support this community expansion. The high-speed rail. With the high-speed rail and the Monarch, our direct community is also supporting economic development. Together, we will watch and encourage the community to flourish by increasing foot traffic, captivating community overhaul, as well as creating more opportunities for new family-friendly businesses to infuse into our community. The redevelopment of Chinatown's historic preservation will also encourage a safe and secure neighborhood. As you can see, we are not just pitching a pipe dream about what we'll do in the community. These are things that we actually are doing in the community and will continue to do throughout this endeavor. Some of the things that we have done in the community are conducting annual fundraisers, as I stated earlier, for children with autism spectrum disorder. Annual donations of backpacks and school supplies to kids in Gaston Middle School, donating blankets, socks, and magazines to Fresno's post-acute care facility, diapers and wipes Marjorie Mason Center, donating food boxes to seniors at Bridges at Florence Senior Apartments, community organizations I'm involved in, or the Eastern Star Fraternal Organization, the NAACP, Chinatown Fresno Foundation board member, Chinatown Fresno PBID board member, California State University Alumni Association. I volunteer with Take a Stand community. We're also involved with Saints for Cure through St. Rest Church, the Alzheimer's Foundation, and also Edison High School Class of '87 and Friends Scholarship Fund. Providing a positive outlook and physical and financial involvement shows you who we are and why we should be selected to continue to operate within our community. In regards to our security, we understand our strengths, and even with extensive research, we know that partnering with a company who specializes in the security and surveillance field will provide us, our team, and our patients with a sense of comfort knowing that the facility is secured by staff who know what they are doing. In closing, In closing, as you can see, high-speed healing is not only qualified, but is located in the exact location of Fresno's expanding community. We are development-focused, financially stable, and actively involved in organizations that have a positive impact in our community. We are dedicated to promoting the positive impacts of cannabis, and high-speed healing looks forward to becoming Fresno's #1 retail cannabis dispensary. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Arias, this is your district. Do you want to kick off the questions?
Thank you, Councilmember. I don't have any questions for the applicants. Thank you. Just know that in general terms, I've read every single page of your application and all the public comments that we've received on the matter. But I do just have a couple of comments in general. So for the record, I do want to enter into the record that we received both letters of opposition and letters of support for this application. Letters of opposition came from the Fresno Chinatown Preservation, from the business across the street from the proposed location. Letters of support came from smoke shops, gas stations, and other local property owners or businesses nearby. So we do have both the letters of opposition and the letters of support on the record. What we don't have for this particular item is any letters of support from residents who live nearby in the Chinatown area, which gives me some grave concern. I've been crystal clear from my perspective that I'm going to hear from the neighbors, listen to the neighbors. I know you can appreciate that we have a lot of businesses in the city, but those business owners don't typically live in that area where their business is located, so they don't get to deal with the daily challenges of the neighborhood. So I'm really looking for resident voice in this process. This area where you're proposing to open up this cannabis shop is also across the street from the $40 million housing project that's under construction. That's a $40 million investment by the state, the city, and the housing authority to house families and children there. As you noted in your application, your location is not anywhere near community centers or parks or schools. It happens to be kind of a dead zone for those kind of public amenities in that West Fresno general area. As a result, the new housing development project will have to bring forward a youth center, youth activities, because there isn't anything nearby, which gives me a huge pause to support an operation that's going to be in such close proximity to women and children who are asking to move into that, nice 5-story housing project. I know it's your application is strong. Your character is definitely strong. As local property and business owners, I can appreciate what you guys have done, but ultimately I have to look at location and whether the location makes sense for residents who either live in that area or in this case, or about to move in a few months into that housing project. And for that reason, not only the proximity to the new housing project, which is literally across the street, but this parcel where the proposal is coming also houses a bus stop for the city bus system, which kids would have to walk through this area to get to the bus stop, to get to their schools and other transportation needs. So I'm
May I
hesitant
address that?
at this point to be supportive of it. I have too many concerns with the proximity of the residential housing project and the fact that there's no, for the record, because we could only consider what's on the record, there is no recorded support from the residents nearby where this establishment would open. That is not reflected in the record at all.
May I address your concerns,
Yes,
sir?
ma'am.
In regards to residents, there are no residential housing within the required limits of 800 or 1,000 feet, so there's nothing like that in the proposed location. but we did seek letters from not only business owners in Chinatown. We went outside of the area and went to businesses within Southwest Fresno as far as where the Food Max is located on Fresno Street. But as far as residents, it just wasn't really applicable because there weren't anything there. In regards to the Monarch, I did speak with the person in charge of the Monarch, Michael Duarte. He wasn't able to remain unbiased, was with his words,
Yeah.
because it is a, I could say, city government
Yes.
entity. He was unable to give us a letter of recommendation, but his comment to me was that the Monarch did not oppose high-speed healing opening up, and if I was asked about it, that I could reflect that the Monarch was not in opposition, or that the Housing Authority was not in opposition to our opening.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that because the Housing Authority has taken the position of not opposing or supporting, any of these business establishments near their areas. And for the record, you're absolutely right. There's no residents within the 800 feet as prescribed in this area, but as a council, at least from my perspective and in my district, I've asked these proposed business applicants to go beyond the 800 feet, notice the neighborhood, go walk the neighborhood. These areas are not just situated within the legal 800 feet, buffer that we've outlined for potential conflicts. The record doesn't show that the neighbors that live on A Street, where this proposal, I believe it's on F Street, there's a lot of residential neighborhoods, single-family residential neighborhoods in that area. There's no record to reflect that they're either support or opposed to it, or that their concerns were somehow addressed. So
Okay. I can appreciate that, but in regards to that, I don't think that with the location that we have, I don't think that the residents on the other side of 99, in regards to what you're saying, A Street and B and C Street, I don't see how those residents would be negatively impacted by our business. I've owned my property for over 30 years. And the thing is we did reach out to the community. We didn't think to get signatures from residents as far, that far away, but we did go out to the community. We went out to the community of Southwest Fresno because this dispensary coming in to Chinatown not only impacts Chinatown, it impacts Southwest Fresno. And what we're trying to do is have a positive impact for not only Chinatown, but Southwest Fresno. So we went out into the community. We didn't gain the signatures, which now I realize that I probably should have done. But we did reach out to several community members in Southwest Fresno and spoke with them about what was what we wanted to do in Chinatown. And we did get a lot of support.
Yeah, and some of that is reflected here, and I recognize that. I've also received opposition to it from the Golden West Side Committee and Debbie Darden. So there is a lot of, support and opposition.
Right.
I would say is for the lack of a better description, even. I appreciate that you went to all the businesses nearby and the property owners. But what I struggle with, again, is we're asking approximately 100 families with children to move across the street from this proposed establishment. And we have a public transit corridor we're expecting kids to walk through to get to the bus. And I struggle to, tell them, oh, by the way, while I was under construction, we've authorized a cannabis business, and they had no notice. So for that reason, I struggle with supporting it today. But I do appreciate the fact that you guys have put together a good proposal.
Okay, and with all due respect for your comments in regards to children, I want to let you know that we both have children. He has school-age children. I have 2 high school-age children. And I can appreciate what you're saying about the children coming from the Monarch, if that's going to be whose house there. Our facility is going to be designed to be discreet, and we do try to maintain a safe boundary around the F Street property to this date. Aside from having the dispensary there, to this date, we maintain a safe boundary. We make sure, because as you know, there is drug use in Chinatown. There is homelessness in Chinatown. That's something that I watch on a daily basis. Not only because of what we're trying to do at the property, but because I have children. And we have businesses there that are operating where there is children coming to, car washes and things like that. So I'd want to maintain it in a safe environment just because of that. So this isn't something that once this gets approved, if it's to get approved, that I'm going to look into safety procedures. These are things that we're already doing and taking into consideration. So with that being said, having a dispensary, it will be discreet. There won't be any big signs out front. It'll be a if you know kind of thing. Because we do a lot of things, I do a lot of things with children in the community, and it's not going to be set up for something to negatively impact children by any means. Do you want to say something?
And excuse me, and we do have separate parking for our own employees and customers. So it won't affect the Monarch across the street. It won't affect anybody on F Street that will, have problem with parking, because we do have specialized parking just for our club. So that's one of the things that's kind of will touch bases. And we do have 24-hour security. So we'll have 2 security guards on duty for the parking lot. So to escort people if they need to come in the store, we have them to escort into the store, to out of the store, so safety reasons, and to keep everybody in line that comes into our store.
Yeah, and the record reflects that. In my observation, the safety of customers has not been an issue for these cannabis operations, but the impact that they have to their surrounding neighborhood. For example, in Chinatown today, across the street from your property, no fault of your own, there's an encampment there on an empty parcel. Security is going to keep your parcel safe and your customers safe from the parking lot to the store. But I have to consider what other unintended impacts will it have to a neighborhood with those, transient populations, homeless populations be pushed into the Monarch. Will those folks be redirected back to that area already has a drug treatment facility in the corner and a halfway house. It has, as you noted, 2 bus companies that result in people lining up around the corner every day and, traffic being pushed into the freeway system on peak hours of buses coming in and out. It's in front of a public transit route, and now we're about to welcome 100 families with children into a neighborhood that doesn't have the built environment, and it is not going to include a park space or green space for them to play at. They're going to have to rely on that built environment around them. So I have to consider the built environment of that whole area, not just the safety of the customers entering your establishment.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other questions from my colleagues? Councilmember Bredefeld.
I can appreciate the concerns and comments raised by Councilmember Arias. When it stated that there's no recorded support, I assume that also means there's no recorded opposition. So, that works both ways. I don't see anyone here in the chamber opposing it. Nobody came and spoke in opposition, so one would assume then there's support if they're not people opposing. They met the 800-foot requirement. Signature gathering is not a requirement to get approved. It doesn't appear to be that there's neighborhood opposition. You met with people in Southwest Fresno. So, I'm troubled that, and while I'm not a supporter of this industry, I'm troubled that we have people who go through all the process, cross all the T's, dot all the I's, spend all the money, do all the work, and then unilaterally, one can just say, well, I'm not comfortable. And that just seems very unfair to you, who invest a lot of time, money, effort, sweat, to bring a business, and you meet all the requirements that the city has. They have met all the requirements, is that correct, City Manager?
Yes.
Okay, so they've met all the requirements, and yet there's now a motion. I suspect the council will support opposing it, and you will be turned down. I'm not going to support turning you down because I think you've met all the requirements, and you should be able to move forward. And this seems to be a pattern, City Manager, where people meet the requirements, and then a council member pulls the item, and for whatever reason says, I don't want it, and it gets denied. And that just seems very unfair to prospective businesses and business people who are working hard to get a business. And I say that while I don't even support the industry. So I'm not going to support the motion to deny. I think you should be approved. I think it should move forward. You've done everything that the city has asked of you, and I don't see any opposition here. I mean, you can say, well, there's no recorded support, but I don't see any recorded opposition either. So it works both ways. So I'm not going to support the motion.
Thank you.
We have Councilmember Carbasi on Zoom.
Thank you. So Councilmember Arias, I want to be really consistent here, and I want to make sure I can respect how a councilman feels about their district. Can you outline for me again, like, is there a school close by, or what exactly? You mentioned something about housing. What exactly are the
Sure.
negatives here that go beyond?
Sure, Member Carbasi. So for the record, this application does meet all the legal required buffers in the ordinance. So you're not within 800 feet of a school, of a park, or a sensitive use as defined. So both Councilmember Bredefield and city staff are correct. That is the case. The additional concerns that I had, and these are based on the reflection of the record, Councilmember Bredefield, the record does reflect that there is opposition and there is support for the application. That is noted on the letters that we received. My note of no record of support was from residents. Some of these applicants took it upon themselves, based on councilors' feedback, to go door to door, talk to residents, and put into the record that there is support for their application. In this case, the record doesn't reflect that there is support from residents nearby. It's not required, but that is something that we've seen for other applications. My specific concern is the proximity of this location to the new Monarch housing project that's under construction and will be completed in June of this year. It is literally across the street from that project. That project is a family housing project for children and families that are going to be housed there. There are no parks near the proximity of the Monarch. There are no schools near the proximity. As a result, we're going to have to pursue opening a community youth center and having activities for kids within that housing complex, because there isn't anything nearby that they can walk to. Now, technically speaking, that will happen after this application would have been approved. But the spirit was that we wouldn't have these operations within proximity of youth-centered activity areas, which this housing project will have once construction is complete. Secondly, this property is also located within a city bus stop service where kids use to go to school and get on the bus for those activities. So those are the two things that are on the record that I am expressing my concern to not support this application for those two specific items on the record.
With all due respect, Councilman Arias, I appreciate your concerns again, but the concerns you have are speculative. They're presuming in the future this is going to happen, that there is going to, because like I said, I've owned this property for 30-some years, and I have yet to see children standing at the bus stop, the city bus stop there. So these are valid concerns, but at the same time, you mentioned the homelessness. There's a homeless encampment across the street, but that's not my responsibility. I will provide security. I do, and I appreciate your office. Whenever I do call in about an encampment, they do have someone come out and clear that out. That's something that I will continue to do. Not, again, aside of having the dispensary there, but it's because I want a clean, safe environment for my property. And so I do call in. I do have people there on my property that if there are encampments or homeless people that come around, that we do have them move. We do even interact with a lot of the homeless people in the area. We know and they look out for our property because we treat them with respect. We're not treating them like they're trash and you want to shoo them off. We treat them with respect, we get to know them, and in turn, they look out for us like we look out for them. So it goes both ways. Again, there aren't, at this date and time of this application, there are not children standing at the city bus stop. There are not children walking in the neighborhood. And when those things happen, should they happen with the Monarch, then of course we'll adjust accordingly, and we will do that. I've already stated that we're not going to have any bright signs to cause attention or to draw children in, because we have children on our own, and we're going to look out for our own kids, as well as the community's children. We will work with the Monarch. Like I've served on boards with Michael Duarte from the Housing Authority. He knows me. I will continue to work with the Housing Authority to see that where we can come to a happy medium to where no one is feeling impacted negatively.
Councilmember Carbasi, you still have the floor, or you finish your questions?
Yep, no, thank you, Councilmember, for your response.
Okay. I don't believe we have any motions on the table at this moment. Seeing none, that will...
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, so we have a motion from Councilmember Redefeld.
Sorry, this is a motion to approve it?
Yes.
Gary, I'll second your motion out of respect. I'm not going to vote for it, though. So I'll second it if you want to go to a vote, but I'm going to vote against it. I'm going to go with the council member's recommendation. You okay with that?
Sure.
Okay, I'll second it.
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion or debate on the part of my colleagues? All right, Clerk, let's do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Soria. Absent. Councilmember Carbasi.
No.
Councilmember Arias.
No.
Councilmember Chavez. Absent. Councilmember Bredefeld.
Yes.
Vice President Maxwell.
Nay.
And Council President Esparza.
Nay. What's the vote count on that?
That is 1 yes and 4 no's.
Motion
absent.
fails, 4 no's and 1 yes.
Okay, can I make a statement before we leave the floor?
We've concluded this item, the vote has been
Okay.
conducted.
I just want to make a statement, though.
We're
Just for
finished with
the-
this item.
I understand what the motion was. I want to note,
So
though, that we had 30,
we're
we had over
moving on
30.
to a different item now.
I
ma'am.
understand you. We had
Ma'am,
over 30
we've-
people that signed our petition to approve this in the Chinatown area.
We're moving on to
There were
the next
2
hearing.
people
That's going
that
to be
opposed.
consideration of an appeal of the city manager's decision to approve commercial cannabis permit number CSE-20-23. That's going to be the property located at 505 to 507 Fulton Street. That's in
Council
District
President,
3.
if I make it the city manager to clarify, city manager, since you indicated that after this round of appeals is over, you will essentially restart the process, and anyone who was denied an application is free to resubmit?
Yes, under the new, we'll be working on amendments to the ordinance, which will be taking into account some of the items that we've discussed today and previously. And it's, unless the city attorney tells me no, I believe it will start the process over again, and folks will be able to apply.
Thank you.
All right, so again, we're on the hearing number 3, the property located 505 to 507 Fulton Street in D3. And welcome to the applicant. You will have 10 minutes to make your presentation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the council. I am Isaac Fonseca, and this is my business partner, Nathan Perez, and lifelong friend. First, I'd like to start by expressing my gratitude for being in a position to have these discussions with our local leaders of our community. My partner and I are founded on social equity, and we are asking for our city's support and investing into us and our mission and vision. Being young Hispanic men and growing up in the Fresno southeast sector of the community, opportunities such do not come often. Being entrenched in these very neighborhoods for our entire upbringing gives us a very intuitive understanding of the dynamics and challenges of these neighborhoods. We appreciate our council member in allowing our community ample time to provide feedback in such a critical item. So the proposed location is 505 North Fulton and 505, 507 North Fulton, Beyond Rooted LLC. What you're seeing right before you is our letter of support, or I'm sorry, our introduction letter to the letter of support. We started with this letter to groundbreak with our community, our members, to give them some dialogue and some feedback as to who we are. We posted in Tower on January 17th, 29th, and February 12th. We posted up in the Tower District as well as walked our neighborhoods. We have little over 40 letters of support from neighboring businesses and a little under 200 letters of support from residences very close in proximity. What you're seeing there is the dialogue that we're having in the Tower District along with our neighborhoods. From there, we found the opportunity to create an advisory committee, Neighbors and Beyond. Today, we have a few of our closest neighbors in attendance, which is Mr. Fugate. He's back there. He's one parcel right next to us. The second parcel right next to him, north of us, is an older lady that she was not able to attend today, but we spent a lot of time with both of them understanding their challenges, the methadone clinics, and what we could do to support. So the Neighborhood Advisory Committee is made up of both the 1 and 2 parcels north of me and parcels from a 1,000-foot radius in the surrounding area. Our biggest voice and of the immediate neighborhood is Mr. Martinez, which you heard this afternoon, talking about the challenges in the with the methadone clinic, the alleys that are right in front of us. Notable neighbors of support and within our committee are Chevron, which is just east of us, Fun Time Balloons, Fast and Save Market, Loaded Smoke Shop, and Joe's PCS, or I'm sorry, PC's Repair. Jobs. Creating local opportunities is where we want to leave our legacy within our community. After watching my parents run an auto body shop on Belmont for 40+ years, creating jobs and opportunities for disadvantaged is where I want to continue to lead my family's legacy. Given these opportunities gives us the ability to create competitive wage jobs for our local community with many health, education, and PTO benefits. I currently manage a team of 100+ in a union environment and will not stand in the way of a unionization. In speaking to the community, we have formed a list of potential candidates for these positions, ultimately giving us our first round of interviews. In our location, our neighbors to the east, Chevron, and to the north, South Tower apartment complex have done a wonderful job anchoring this neighborhood. Their investment into their properties is evident. The lighting seen on the slides today shows you the potential this immediate neighborhood has. Our investment into this property will continue this trend, creating a well-lit intersection on the northwest corner of Belmont and Fulton. Community benefits. Every December, my team gets together and participates in food box drives. We've done those on 505 North Fulton, ABC Auto Body, Callaway Park, and we're in discussions to do it in April in the same locations. Mentorship at ABC Auto Body extends to both summer youth programs and reintroduction to society opportunities. We are vowing to take the same business model with our adult community within our neighborhood. Monthly rental support for victims of violence and career pathways is something that we have reached out to victims of violence. We are proud supporters of our Tower District Porch Fest block party that is going to occur on the 9th of April. It's more like I grew up doing the neighborhood watch committees and block parties, and it's really something that we're really in tune and want to start to bring out the life of our neighbors. We're also proud supporters of the nonprofit Valley Music Hall of Fame. What you're seeing in front of you is some of us, some of our teams over the course of the last few years giving out food to the community just a few days before Christmas. Security plans. Our obligations are to keep our patrons and neighbors safe. After personally spending countless hours speaking to my neighbors, I am confident that we are very much the right ones for the job. We have spoken to hundreds of community members, if not thousands, in just how we keep our community safe. We have also provided lots of dialogue within our community to ensure that everybody has a voice. Our preliminary layouts of security are very close and ready for CUP. We are proposing 34 indoor cameras, 5 outdoor cameras, which is actually being looked at with the consultant right now, and revising that because in discussion with Mr. Fugate, he'd like for us to shine some video on his properties as well, being that we're adjacent, and so we're looking at those opportunities as well for the safety and security of our closest neighbors. 12 card readers and 13 panic buttons will be installed as well. Our team's accumulative effort have the ability to raise Fresno's very own local brand, the G7 products line. This makes us unique in many ways. Our team has the opportunity to locally cultivate, manufacture, distribute, and with the consent of the council today, retail distribute the G7 product line, creating a healthy and vertical tax incentive for our local economy, also known as seed to sell. Our mission is to keep it local. Scopes of success, and this is how we measure our success. Overall operational outlook and combined efforts from our coalition creates a vertical tax advantage for our city, industrial career development and pathways for disadvantaged and our community, health and wellness of our employees, patrons, neighbors, and community members, generational financial success beyond our co-founders, outreach resources for our city, offers and on-site resources and brochures, continued revitalization of the immediate neighborhood, first local brand to publicly call Fresno, the city of Fresno home, continuous efforts to reduce the black market opportunities with transitional career opportunities. And we also have a local platform with former MLB players that will help us extend this brand into something very exciting. The city has an opportunity to truly invest local and improve the lives of leadership, employees, neighbors, and the entire community. As a local social equity applicant, this is an investment into us. We are truly a local group, and we are asking the council to develop and invest within our local community. In turn, our generated revenue will stay local. We are local. We are one Fresno. Thank you for your time and commitment to this process. We are committed to serving and uniting our community with one goal in mind, one Fresno.
Thank you. I'm sure the mayor would appreciate you using his One Fresno slogan for marijuana. I do have some questions, Council President, if I may. So I want to enter into the record the fact that more than 100 residential neighbors in the Tower District signed letters of support for this business, and more than 50 businesses adjacent and near the proximity of this establishment also expressed their support. For me, that's important because I don't have to live next to the operation, they do. And, I'm not sold, as my other colleagues have indicated, The argument of tax revenue, the tax revenue that you may generate goes citywide. It doesn't stay in the neighborhood or fix broken sidewalks. I have no interest in the charity that you do either, because it doesn't fix the broken sidewalks or get police to respond faster to crime in that area. That's good for the Central Valley Music Hall of Fame, but it has no net effect in the neighborhoods to address the issues that may pop up as a result of this business. And I'll give you an example. In the past, the Tower District was told that by building a gas station on Van Ness, that it would revitalize the area. If you go to the gas station today, there's an encampment next door that's been there for a year. Simply putting a business in an empty lot doesn't revitalize the area. We have to be thoughtful in how we actually improve that whole corridor. I guarantee you that the tax revenue of that gas station isn't going back to that neighborhood. It's going citywide. So I appreciate the fact that people want to do charity, but that doesn't have an impact on my decision-making. I'm looking at every single commitment you're making and the context of which you're proposing to operate under. And I'll tell you that here are some of my concerns with this application. One, you've indicated the proximity to the methadone clinic. For those who are not familiar with methadone clinics, it's where folks get their medication who are trying to get sober from abuse of methamphetamines. You also propose, and that methadone clinic has a significant impact on that residential neighborhood. It's been a problem for a while. It's a necessary service that we need in the city, but it does create some unintended consequences in the neighborhood. Your program, your program and how you propose to operate seems to be solid, except for one area that I have extreme concerns with. You call this your Needles for Joints program, and your support for that. I'm not in a position to be supportive of you engaging in that kind of approach, and here's why. Individuals who are actively using methamphetamine through the injection of needles, giving them a free joint is not going to stop their addiction. There are some significant social, emotional, and mental health challenges where they need long-term treatment. I don't want one of my colleagues who's not here at this moment, or our friends on KMJ Radio, to announce that the city is now engaging in a Needles for Joints initiative, because we allowed your proposal to go forward with this kind of program embedded in it. So from my perspective, that is a much more complicated intervention that should be done through the medical field, not through the cannabis retail field. So if you propose to engage in that activity, I'm not in a position to be supportive, because I know that something as complicated and critical as providing somebody help to get off meth will be falsely described in a very cheap way for the echo chambers of audiences in Fresno as Needles for Joints. And that's going to set us behind on providing real treatment for folks who are struggling with drug addiction. So from my perspective, I know you indicate in your proposal that you're looking to be supportive of that concept. I want some assurances from my perspective that that's not going to take place, and here's why. That area is already saturated with homeless residents. Across the street by Chevron, across the street from that facility, all along the sidewalk when you enter the 180 off, the last thing I want is to hear from neighbors that you have a waiting line of homeless residents trying to get a free joint because of some misunderstanding of a program that they don't fully grasp. That is not as simple as, give me your needle and I'll give you a free joint, right? This description doesn't do it justice. Nor am I suggesting that you guys are not fully aware of how complicated that is, but I don't want any misunderstanding to take place, and I definitely don't want anybody to hijack the sensitivity of drug treatment to such, a lazy description. So that's one concern I have.
Can I respond?
Yes.
So in regards to the Needles for Joints, absolutely, it would not initially it would not be us, right? It would be a healthcare provider and/or something that we would talk to some of the medical field representatives in that area to do. Now, if that perspective is a negative perspective, it's scratched. You know, we don't need to move forward with that. It is something that we're very considerate of. They're humans too. You know, we do see as you know, the hemp and joints or cannabis to be a exit drug.
Yeah.
So we are sensitive to that. We're not here to say, you know, that at the end of the day we're going to hand that out. We would like to explore how we work with the methadone clinic. I know they have some opportunities. They do secure their property, but they have some opportunities to secure or be part of a resolution for the greater area.
Correct.
And that's what we talked with, you know, the Chevron, all these surrounding areas. They need help, you know, and I don't think they have a unity yet, and that's what we really want to propose.
And I appreciate that, and I want to just, you know, press on that cannabis has a medicinal value and purpose.
Correct.
But when it is poorly described as needles for joints, we lose the conversation.
Absolutely.
And I don't want neighbors or anyone to misconclude that that's part of your business model at that location.
Part of the initial idea was that neighbors were complaining that they are discarded into the streets and garbage cans. So our idea was, I mean, initially thinking like maybe we can have the ones that are using, instead of throwing it in a garbage can or on a street, exchange it to it in a sharps container.
Yeah. And I'll tell you that as somebody who has to ask our city staff to hire a hazmat team, because, or, you know, folks who we can't let kids pick up litter because it's a hazmat situation, I want to be very thoughtful about that. I appreciate you guys making cleaning up the neighborhood a priority, but how you do it is extremely critical, because there is significant hazmat, you know, considerations you have to take into account. So we won't be doing a Joints for Needles program.
No.
Okay. So I have you on the record. My second concern is your safety plan speaks to, which is required of everyone, to the what you will do to manage your facility and your customers. What I want you to hear from me is I'm looking at the whole area, because what you do will have a domino effect across the street. Across the street's already a problem on both sides of the street. So I recognize this is an opportunity for that whole corridor to be improved, but if your safety plan simply pushes the problem across the street or into residential neighbors, then that's going to be a challenge. So that component isn't required right now, you know, in your application, but that is going to be a huge consideration. The only thing that gives me pause in not rejecting a proposal today is the fact that you knocked on every residential door, every business door nearby, and they now know you. So if they're going to call somebody, it's going to be you, not necessarily me. And that required some level of acknowledgement that you're three guys from Clovis proposing to do this in South Tower. And I appreciate the local connections you have, but those guys won't be called on Friday night or Saturday night. It'll be me. It'll be me who's called about what's taking place, what's not taking place, what impacts the neighborhood's having. So I want you to be very conscious that my support today for this application doesn't guarantee my support for the conditional use permit. I will be looking, as you submit your conditional use permit, on how you propose to improve the general area outside of your fence line. Is that clear?
Clear.
Okay. So those are my questions and my concerns. I just want to, again, put on the record that this applicant has 100 residents of the South Tower supportive of the project and 50 businesses within proximity of the area supportive. You did submit a lot more folks, but frankly speaking, the people in Clovis and Sanger that supported, I don't account for them. You know, I don't account for the businesses South Fresno and North Fresno expressing support for this location. I'm really interested in the immediate residential neighbors, because those are the folks who deal with the traffic jams. If you don't manage your parking right, they'll deal with the homeless population that is congregating nearby. They'll deal with the operational hours that are not being honored. They'll deal with all that. So I'm looking forward to your conditional use permit, but it has passed my level of scrutiny. And with that, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion, Councilmember Arias.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion from my colleagues? We don't have any members on Zoom. Is there any opposition to the motion of approval? Seeing none, the item passes 4-0.
Can I make one last comment?
Who's that? Where's this at?
All right,
Yep.
I'll talk to you later.
Congratulations. All right, with that, this meeting is adjourned.
Hey, City Manager and City Attorney, for the record, the no contact provision still applies, so please don't try to communicate with any of us.